Antarctica is a land both mesmerizing and enigmatic, a vast expanse of ice and snow that stretches beyond the limits of imagination. Its silent plains, jagged mountains, and immense glaciers evoke wonder. Yet beneath this frozen surface lies a world largely unknown. The continent is both beautiful and forbidding, a place where the visible landscape conceals ancient secrets, hidden valleys, and subglacial lakes that have remained untouched for millions of years. The contrast between what is known, the geography, the climate, the documented wildlife, and the mysteries lurking beneath the ice creates a tension that is impossible to ignore. Early explorers faced extreme conditions, their journals filled with accounts of unusual lights, strange sounds, and unpredictable weather that seemed almost deliberate in its intensity. Modern science has advanced, yet Antarctica continues to resist full comprehension. Satellites, ground-penetrating radar, and remote sensors reveal anomalies, geological, magnetic, and thermal, that challenge conventional understanding. Even in its most studied regions, subtle irregularities persist, hinting at phenomena beyond immediate observation. This documentary seeks to guide viewers through these contrasts, the stark, measurable reality of Antarctica, and the mysteries that elude even the most sophisticated technology. It is a journey through extreme landscapes, ancient histories, forbidden zones, and unexplained phenomena, exploring the continent as both a physical space and a silent storyteller. By balancing fact with mystery, observation with imagination, we will immerse ourselves in the hidden world of Antarctica, a place that simultaneously invites discovery and conceals secrets that may never be fully understood. Antarctica is the coldest, driest, and windiest continent on Earth, a place where extremes shape every aspect of existence. Temperatures plunge far below what most humans can endure, katabatic winds sweep relentlessly across glaciers, and storms can appear without warning, altering the landscape in moments. This harshness defines both the environment and the experience of those who venture here, enforcing a careful balance between human exploration and respect for forces beyond control. The ice itself is a record of time, layered with evidence of climate cycles, volcanic activity, and dust transported across millennia. Glaciers advance slowly but inexorably, carving valleys, reshaping mountains, and revealing hidden formations that hint at the continent's deep history. Subglacial lakes, buried beneath kilometers of ice, remain liquid due to geothermal heat, isolated ecosystems that may hold life forms unlike anything known above the surface. These hidden features contrast with the stark, visible landscape, emphasizing that much of Antarctica's story lies concealed beneath a frozen veil. Even the most remote areas interact dynamically with the environment. Thermal anomalies, magnetic irregularities, and subtle seismic activity suggest that the continent is alive in ways science only partially understands. The interplay of ice, wind, temperature, and geological forces creates both predictability and unpredictability, stability and mystery. These extremes establish the stage for the deeper enigmas explored in later sections, framing Antarctica as a land where the known and unknown exist side by side, quietly challenging anyone who seeks to unravel its secrets. Beneath this seemingly uniform ice of Antarctica lie landscapes both ancient and mysterious. Hidden valleys, mountain ranges, and subglacial lakes form an underground world preserved for millions of years. Lake Vostok, isolated under nearly 4 kilometers of ice, contains liquid water that may host unique microbial life, untouched by surface influences. These concealed realms remind us that the continent's true complexity extends far beyond what the eye can see. The mountains that pierce the ice reveal dramatic contrasts. Jagged peaks rise abruptly from flat plains, their shadows stretching in the low-angle polar light, and their surfaces scarred by millennia of glacial movement. Ice ridges and crevasses form natural codes, subtle signs of the immense forces shaping the land. Even within exposed valleys, such as the dry valleys, formations appear surreal. Dry riverbeds, mineral deposits, and strange wind-sculpted patterns evoke both beauty and mystery. Glacial movement simultaneously conceals and reveals, slowly reshaping the landscape, while occasionally exposing ancient rock, fossilized vegetation, or thermal anomalies. These interactions highlight Antarctica's dual nature. The surface is serene and frozen, yet beneath it, time, pressure, and geological activity continue unabated. Each ridge, hollow, and hidden lake serves as a reminder that Antarctica is a land of contrasts, between visibility and concealment, stability and change, known and unknown, inviting careful observation and quiet contemplation before deeper mysteries are revealed in the following sections. Even in a place as extreme and isolated as Antarctica, the world refuses to behave entirely as expected. Beyond the pristine glaciers, towering mountains, and hidden valleys, scientists sometimes encounter phenomena that resist conventional explanation. Instruments record sudden shifts in magnetic fields. Equipment malfunctions for no discernible reason, and temperatures fluctuate in localized pockets, defying predictive models. These anomalies, though subtle, accumulate into patterns that intrigue researchers and hint at a deeper complexity in the frozen continent. The contrast between what science can measure and what remains inexplicable creates a quiet tension, inviting both curiosity and caution. Antarctica, in these moments, becomes not just a landscape, but a puzzle, a place where the ordinary rhythms of the natural world are intertwined with subtle mysteries waiting to be observed. Some of the most perplexing phenomena are those that interact with human perception directly. Scientists in the field occasionally report sounds that cannot be attributed to wind or ice movement. Low, resonant vibrations, sometimes rhythmic, sometimes fleeting, that seem to emanate from deep beneath the surface. Shadows appear in ways that defy angles of light, fleeting figures that vanish when approached, and odd luminescent glows sometimes flicker across snowdrifts during the long polar night. These events are rare and often fleeting, yet their persistence over decades of observation adds weight to their significance. While some dismiss them as tricks of light, ice, or imagination, others record these anomalies meticulously, noting their locations, timing, and environmental conditions. The quiet acknowledgement that Antarctica holds secrets not easily cataloged adds to the continent's aura of mystery. One of the most striking areas of unexplained activity lies in the behavior of ice itself. Glaciers sometimes move in unexpected bursts, accelerating far beyond predicted rates before slowing again without apparent cause. Ice shelves can fracture suddenly, producing enormous calving events that seem to occur without warning, even in regions where conditions appear stable. Subglacial lakes, hidden beneath kilometers of ice, occasionally release vast amounts of water, reshaping landscapes silently and invisibly. These dynamic processes, while explainable in terms of physics, still carry a sense of the unexpected, particularly when they occur in locations or at times that defy historical patterns. The slow, deliberate movements of ice conceal processes and forces beyond immediate observation, reinforcing the idea that Antarctica is alive in ways that are both subtle and profound. Atmospheric anomalies add another layer of intrigue. Weather in Antarctica is already extreme, with temperatures plunging to unimaginable lows, winds slicing across the ice with unrelenting force, and sudden storms appearing with little warning. Yet even within this expected harshness, scientists note microclimates that seem to defy logic. Areas where temperatures remain unusually stable or warm, or where winds shift in patterns inconsistent with regional models. Cloud formations sometimes appear in shapes or sequences that cannot be explained purely by meteorology, and auroral activity occasionally exhibits unusual intensity or color in localized regions. While each of these observations can often be rationalized individually, the accumulation of irregularities throughout the continent points toward a complexity that challenges conventional understanding. In these instances, Antarctica appears as a living system, interacting with forces both seen and unseen. Another source of puzzlement is Antarctica's geology. The continent is not a static white desert, but a landscape shaped over millions of years by tectonic movement, volcanic activity, and glacial erosion. Yet even with detailed mapping and satellite observation, geologists encounter irregular formations that resist explanation. Certain mountain ranges display geometrical precision in their ridges. Isolated rock outcrops suggest sudden shifts in pressure or composition, and mineral deposits occasionally appear in unexpected locations. These anomalies do not always indicate anything mystical, yet their occurrence in one of the most inhospitable and remote places on Earth heightens their significance. They hint at forces or histories buried deep beneath the ice, processes that may be understood eventually but remain elusive in the present. Each irregularity becomes a whisper of Antarctica's hidden narrative, a subtle invitation to probe deeper. Reports of unusual electromagnetic signals also add to the continent's enigmatic character. Research stations have occasionally detected bursts of energy or static that cannot be fully explained, sometimes coinciding with shifts in localized conditions or atmospheric events. These readings are faint, inconsistent, and rare, yet they have been recorded repeatedly over decades. Scientists document them carefully, aware of the importance of skepticism, but even the most cautious observers cannot fully account for their source. In a land defined by extremes and isolation, such signals acquire an almost poetic weight. They suggest a world operating according to patterns and rules not yet entirely understood. The contrast between the rigor of measurement and the persistence of anomaly defines much of Antarctica's modern mystery. Life itself presents subtle enigmas. While the continent is dominated by ice and snow, pockets of microbial existence survive in extreme conditions, often beneath the ice or in geothermal vents where warmth allows life to persist. These ecosystems challenge assumptions about resilience and adaptation, revealing that even in a place that seems devoid of life, nature finds a way. Some of these organisms exhibit behaviors and biochemical properties that are unlike those found elsewhere on Earth, raising questions about evolutionary paths and the hidden diversity of life. Each discovery, while grounded in fact, opens further questions about the hidden dynamics of the continent, reinforcing the sense that Antarctica operates on a scale and complexity that exceeds immediate comprehension. Antarctica's history is intertwined with these phenomena, as historical records occasionally hint at similar mysteries. Early explorers noted strange lights, unusual sounds, and sudden weather events that seemed out of proportion to the conditions. While many of these accounts were dismissed at the time as exaggeration or misperception, they resonate with modern observations, suggesting that the continent has long harbored phenomena resistant to explanation. The contrast between historical anecdote and contemporary scientific measurement creates a layered narrative, one in which fact and mystery coexist, where each generation of explorers contributes fragments to an ongoing puzzle. The cumulative effect of these unexplained phenomena is subtle, not sensational. Antarctica does not announce its mysteries with fireworks or spectacle. Instead, it invites patience, observation, and reflection. Its anomalies emerge gradually in data irregularities, fleeting visual phenomena, or subtle environmental shifts. This slow unfolding maintains the continent's quiet authority, emphasizing that discovery here is measured, deliberate, and deeply contemplative. Scientists learn to listen to the land in ways that go beyond instruments and calculations, to sense patterns and irregularities in ice, wind, and atmospheric behavior. The continent teaches humility, reminding those who study it that the natural world retains powers and secrets far beyond human control or prediction. By the end of this exploration of Antarctica's unexplained phenomena, viewers are drawn into a rhythm of curiosity and contemplation. The land's subtle anomalies, magnetic, geological, atmospheric, and biological, form a web of intrigue that stretches across millennia. The contrast between the rigor of scientific investigation and the persistence of mystery reinforces the central theme, that Antarctica is a place where knowledge and uncertainty coexist, where every measured fact is shadowed by the possibility of something hidden, waiting patiently to be discovered. As this section closes, the stage is set for deeper exploration of the forbidden zones, hidden areas of the continent that amplify these mysteries and hint at secret scientists are only beginning to approach. Some parts of Antarctica remain deliberately inaccessible, shrouded in layers of ice, secrecy, and regulation. These are the regions scientists rarely visit, the territories that even seasoned explorers approach with caution. While much of the continent is open to international research under cooperative agreements, certain zones are restricted for safety, military, or undisclosed scientific reasons. The very existence of these forbidden areas adds an air of intrigue, for when humans cannot enter, the mind begins to wonder about what might lie beyond the barriers. It is in these gaps between access and restriction that the imagination finds room to roam, considering what secrets the land might hold and why they remain hidden. Antarctica, in this sense, is not only a frozen wilderness, but also a keeper of mysteries that extend beyond the reach of even the most determined humans. The reasons for these restrictions are often framed in pragmatic terms. Harsh terrain, unpredictable weather, and treacherous ice make certain regions extremely dangerous, requiring highly specialized equipment and expertise. Some areas contain sensitive wildlife habitats, where human intrusion could cause irreversible damage. Other zones host complex research experiments that demand isolation to prevent contamination or interference. Yet, despite these practical explanations, a subtle tension persists. Forbidden zones invite speculation, for the absence of information fuels curiosity. When the eye cannot see and the mind cannot measure, imagination fills the space with possibilities, some grounded in reality, others edging toward the mysterious or even the extraordinary. Stories have emerged from these off-limits areas, whispered quietly among researchers and explorers. Accounts speak of unexpected structures detected under ice via satellite, or anomalous readings recorded by automated sensors that no human presence had triggered. In some cases, scientists approaching restricted zones report equipment malfunctions or sudden changes in local conditions, magnetic shifts, temperature fluctuations, or unexpected acoustic disturbances. While each event may have a rational explanation, the accumulation of such reports creates a narrative that something unusual exists, something beyond current understanding, waiting patiently beneath layers of ice and snow. The contrast between the methodical, observable environment of research stations and these anomalies in restricted zones heightens the sense of suspense, suggesting that Antarctica guards its secrets with subtle, almost imperceptible vigilance. Military and governmental considerations also play a role in the forbidden nature of certain areas. Various countries maintain research outposts, often in regions of strategic or scientific importance. Some zones are marked as off-limits due to the presence of sensitive equipment or ongoing experiments with classified objectives. The presence of these restricted areas inevitably leads to speculation about what might lie beneath, especially when satellite imagery or historical maps hint at unusual formations. While official explanations emphasize safety and security, the secrecy itself contributes to a feeling that Antarctica is layered with truths that are intentionally concealed, only partially revealed to the world. In this contrast between openness and restriction, the continent becomes not just a physical space, but a psychological one, where curiosity is piqued and the unknown becomes tangible. Historical reports add further intrigue. Journals from early explorers occasionally mention areas that seemed unapproachable or forbidden, whether due to natural obstacles, severe weather, or unexplained phenomena. Some expeditions were forced to turn back under mysterious circumstances, citing sudden storms or changes in ice behavior that could not be predicted. Although these events were often attributed to the harsh environment, their repeated occurrence in the same locations raises questions that linger to this day. Are there features beneath the ice or natural forces at work that resist human intrusion? The intersection of historical anecdote and modern restriction paints a layered picture, where mystery and caution intertwine, and where the land itself seems to guide, or even guard, the boundaries of human exploration. Modern technology has allowed researchers to probe some of these forbidden zones remotely, yet even with satellite imagery and subglacial sensors, much remains hidden. The ice conceals more than mere rock and water. It may conceal anomalies, formations, or structures that do not fit the known geological narrative. Some studies suggest heat pockets deep beneath the ice or areas of unusual chemical composition that hint at geological or even biological phenomena previously unimagined. Other remote sensing data reveal patterns in ice thickness or subglacial topography that defy natural expectations, forming shapes or alignments that spark debate and speculation among scientists. Even without direct access, these zones continue to communicate their secrets indirectly through the subtle evidence left behind in measurements, anomalies, and deviations from what is expected. There is also the psychological effect of forbidden zones. The knowledge that an area is off-limits naturally enhances its allure. Human curiosity is drawn to what is concealed, and in Antarctica, the extremes of isolation and secrecy amplify this effect. For scientists working at the edges of these zones, there is a heightened awareness of the unknown, an acute consciousness that, beyond the familiar routines of measurement and observation, lies a world that is almost entirely untouched, perhaps untouched for millions of years. The ice and snow become not just environmental features, but guardians of hidden truths, and every subtle irregularity in equipment readings or satellite scans becomes a potential clue, a whispered hint of what might exist where no human eye has ventured. While practical reasons for restricted zones abound, the effect is a landscape layered with secrecy and tension. The contrast between accessible research areas and forbidden regions is stark. One is meticulously documented, monitored, and cataloged. The other exists largely in imagination, inference, and the fragments of data that escape observation. This duality mirrors the broader nature of Antarctica itself, a continent of extremes where every revealed fact is shadowed by the possibility of something hidden. The landscape is both welcoming and forbidding, offering glimpses of knowledge while carefully maintaining the balance between discovery and concealment. It is this tension that sustains the fascination with Antarctica, where the forbidden does not incite fear, but a quiet, reflective curiosity, urging one to wonder, to imagine, and to remain attentive to every subtle clue. The allure of forbidden zones is also cultural and historical. Human history is full of fascination with hidden places, from remote mountain monasteries to ancient tombs buried beneath deserts. Antarctica's off-limits regions tap into the same instinctive response, amplified by the continent's vastness and isolation. The mind is naturally drawn to what is inaccessible. In the context of ice, wind, and extreme cold, this response is magnified. Every redacted map, every restricted area, and every anomaly recorded in these zones becomes a story in itself, hinting at discoveries that may be scientific, historical, or perhaps entirely unexpected. It is a quiet drama, unfolding in the contrast between what is allowed and what is forbidden, what is visible and what remains concealed beneath kilometers of ice. Ultimately, these forbidden zones remind us that Antarctica is not merely a landscape to be measured and documented, but a living enigma. Its mountains, glaciers, and valleys are part of a system that operates on scales of time and force far beyond human comprehension. The areas humans cannot enter, whether for safety, secrecy, or unexplained reasons, act as guardians of knowledge yet to be uncovered. They reinforce the central theme of this journey, that the continent is a place where mystery and fact coexist, where the known is always in dialogue with the unknown. By contemplating these forbidden regions, we prepare to explore the deeper layers of Antarctica's hidden history its subglacial secrets, and the anomalous phenomena that continue to challenge our understanding of the natural world. Beneath Antarctica's thick, seemingly impenetrable ice lie traces of a past that defies immediate comprehension. For millions of years, the continent has been a repository of ancient climate records, fossilized life, and geological formations that reveal stories far older than human memory. Ice cores drilled by scientists preserve microscopic bubbles of air, capturing snapshots of the atmosphere as it existed hundreds of thousands of years ago. Layers of dust, volcanic ash, and mineral deposits within the ice act as time capsules, recording the subtle changes in climate, temperature, and even solar activity over epochs. Each layer is a page in a book of Earth's history, meticulously preserved under the relentless pressure of ice and time, waiting for those patient enough to read it. Yet these cores and strata also hint at mysteries that do not entirely conform to our understanding, fragments of evidence that suggest events and conditions yet to be fully explained. Fossils discovered beneath the ice provide glimpses into a time when Antarctica was not the frozen expanse it is today. Millions of years ago, the continent supported lush forests, thriving ecosystems, and a climate that could sustain complex life. Fossilized ferns, trees, and even remnants of ancient freshwater organisms reveal a world unrecognizable compared to the modern, icy terrain. The discovery of these remains is not merely scientific. It challenges perceptions of Antarctica as eternally cold and barren. These ancient traces emphasize the dynamic nature of the planet, hinting at shifts and cycles far beyond human observation. The contrast between the frozen present and a verdant past creates a subtle tension, reminding us that beneath the ice, the land has witnessed transformations both dramatic and inexplicable. Geological formations beneath Antarctica add another layer of intrigue. Mountains and rock outcrops, hidden beneath kilometers of ice, suggest tectonic activity and volcanic forces that continue to shape the continent silently. In some regions, scientists detect anomalies in rock composition or formations that do not align with known geological processes. These features provoke questions about Antarctica's deep history, whether they're remnants of ancient civilizations, unusual natural structures, or products of forces that remain poorly understood. Subglacial valleys, hidden plateaus, and massive ice-covered basins hint at landscapes frozen in time, yet their precise formation often eludes complete explanation. The juxtaposition of these buried features against the vast, white expanse above reinforces a central theme. Antarctica is as much about what is concealed as what is visible. Even within these subglacial areas, life persists in subtle, unexpected ways. Microbial ecosystems have been discovered in isolated lakes beneath the ice, surviving without sunlight, relying on chemical processes and geothermal warmth. Some of these organisms are unlike any found elsewhere on Earth, hinting at evolutionary adaptations beyond contemporary comprehension. Their existence challenges assumptions about the limits of life, suggesting that the frozen depths of Antarctica may hold biological secrets as profound as its geological mysteries. The contrast between the stark, seemingly lifeless surface and the hidden vitality below underscores the complexity and resilience of nature in extreme environments. Each discovery raises further questions. How has life persisted undisturbed for millennia? What unknown processes sustain it? And what might still remain undiscovered beneath the ice? Ancient clues beneath Antarctica extend beyond geology and biology into more enigmatic territory. Some satellite and radar surveys reveal unusual shapes and alignments beneath the ice, geometric formations that suggest organization or structure inconsistent with natural patterns. While mainstream science often interprets these as artifacts of ice flow or geological coincidence, their presence fuels speculation. Could these formations be remnants of a landscape that existed before the continent froze entirely? Might they hint at ancient activity, whether natural or, as some hypothesize, human or otherwise? Each anomaly deepens the sense of mystery, balancing on the edge between rigorous scientific observation and the allure of the unknown. Antarctica, in this light, becomes a continent that is simultaneously a natural archive and a cryptic puzzle. The movement of glaciers across ancient formations also contributes to the sense of hidden history. Ice flows are not uniform. They can shift abruptly, exposing rock faces, fossil beds, or unexpected heat pockets. Over centuries, glaciers both preserve and conceal, creating a dynamic environment where traces of the past may appear suddenly and disappear just as quickly. Researchers have recorded instances where exposed terrain revealed patterns, minerals, or formations previously undetected, only to be quickly covered again by advancing ice. This impermanence adds a layer of suspense to exploration, emphasizing that discovery in Antarctica is not merely about reaching a location, but about timing, observation, and the patience to recognize significance in fleeting glimpses of the past. There are also hints, subtle but persistent, that Antarctica's hidden history might extend beyond ordinary geological and biological phenomena. Some scientists note unusual thermal anomalies beneath the ice, heat sources that cannot be fully accounted for by geothermal activity alone. Others detect minor variations in magnetic fields, as if the land itself holds an energy that is unevenly distributed or influenced by unknown factors. While each of these readings can have rational explanations, the cumulative effect is to reinforce the sense that beneath the ice lies a world not entirely mapped or understood. It is a silent, frozen domain that challenges assumptions and demands humility from those who attempt to study it. Historical and contemporary records together suggest that Antarctica's frozen depths may preserve stories that predate human observation entirely. Ancient ice, subglacial lakes, and hidden valleys serve as time capsules, maintaining conditions and evidence for millions of years. Each drilling operation, each satellite survey, and each remote sensing experiment reveals fragments of this hidden narrative, often raising more questions than they answer. The landscape, while frozen and silent on the surface, speaks in subtle codes, variations in ice density, anomalies in radar images, and unexpected thermal readings, all offering clues to a deep and largely untold history. The continent is, in essence, a repository of both fact and mystery, inviting careful study while retaining an impenetrable veil over much of its story. Antarctica's ancient clues also hold implications for our understanding of the planet as a whole. By studying ice cores, fossils, and subglacial formations, scientists reconstruct past climate patterns, revealing cycles of warmth and cold, the rise and fall of sea levels, and the shifting of ecosystems. These findings inform models of climate change, ecological resilience, and planetary evolution. Yet alongside these concrete insights lies the persistent tension of what remains unknown. For every reconstructed event or identified fossil, there are patterns, structures, and anomalies that resist explanation, reminding us that even in the most meticulously studied regions of the world, mystery persists. The frozen continent, in this sense, is both teacher and enigma, offering knowledge in measured doses while guarding the vast majority of its story beneath layers of ice. As we contemplate the ancient clues preserved beneath Antarctica, it becomes clear that the continent is more than a static expanse of ice and snow. It is a dynamic, layered archive, a landscape where geology, biology, and time converge. Each hidden valley, fossilized remnant, and thermal anomaly is a fragment of a narrative that stretches far beyond the human scale, offering insight into Earth's history while hinting at stories yet to be told. The frozen depths, simultaneously inhospitable and teeming with subtle life, reinforce the central theme of Antarctica as a place where the known and unknown coexist. The land communicates in whispers through evidence that is tangible yet incomplete, guiding careful observers toward contemplation, curiosity, and respect for forces beyond ordinary comprehension. In this way, Antarctica's hidden history prepares us for the next layer of exploration. The anomalies, strange formations, and forbidden zones that persist today. By understanding the ancient context, the layers of ice, and the preserved ecosystems, we are better equipped to appreciate the magnitude of the mysteries that await discovery. The frozen continent, with its preserved past and concealed present, continues to invite patience, observation, and wonder. It is a world where time itself is both recorded and obscured, a silent reminder that beneath every surface, no matter how solid or familiar, there may lie secrets that challenge everything we think we know. While Antarctica preserves a record of ancient climates and life, it is also a continent of ongoing mysteries, where modern anomalies continue to challenge scientific understanding. These are the occurrences that cannot be neatly explained by conventional models. Events, structures, and readings that hint at forces or phenomena beyond the ordinary. Modern explorers, equipped with satellites, ground-penetrating radar, and submersible probes, encounter unusual heat signatures beneath the ice, geometric formations that resist natural explanation, and localized magnetic anomalies that perplex even the most experienced geophysicists. Each anomaly acts as a quiet signal that Antarctica, though meticulously studied, is not fully known. The contrast between modern technological precision and the persistent enigma of the land serves to heighten curiosity, inviting both reflection and wonder at the forces at work beneath the frozen surface. Some of the most intriguing anomalies involve formations detected under kilometers of ice. Radar imaging and satellite surveys have revealed patterns that appear surprisingly regular, resembling structures rather than random geological formations. These shapes sometimes suggest circular or rectangular outlines, features that seem deliberately arranged. While mainstream science often attributes these occurrences to natural processes, such as ice flow, erosion, or mineral deposits, the precision of certain formations continues to raise questions. Could these be evidence of ancient landscapes preserved beneath the ice, perhaps shaped by natural forces in ways not yet fully understood? Or could they hint at the presence of structures created by intelligent activity in a distant past? Each anomaly exists in the space between certainty and speculation, drawing researchers deeper into the puzzle of Antarctica's hidden depths. Heat anomalies beneath the ice present another modern mystery. Certain subglacial areas exhibit elevated temperatures, enough to maintain liquid water in lakes that remain completely cut off from the surface. Lake Vostok, Lake Whillans, and other subglacial bodies contain these thermal irregularities, which sometimes fluctuate without clear cause. Scientists debate the sources of this heat: geothermal activity, friction from moving glaciers, or unknown subterranean processes. The presence of liquid water in these extreme conditions is itself remarkable, and the possibility that unique ecosystems might exist in these isolated lakes adds an element of profound curiosity. These hidden environments, untouched for millions of years, may harbor life forms radically different from anything seen above the ice, providing a glimpse into adaptation, resilience, and evolution under extraordinary conditions. Electromagnetic anomalies further deepen the sense of mystery. In certain regions, instruments detect variations in magnetic and electrical fields that defy expectation. Compasses may behave erratically, and sensors occasionally register readings that cannot be attributed to known geological processes. While the magnitude of these deviations is generally subtle, their consistency in particular areas suggests that the land itself has properties not yet fully understood. Scientists record these anomalies meticulously, aware that even minor irregularities may point to significant underlying processes. The tension between measurable phenomena and their unexplained origin captures the essence of Antarctica's allure. It is a continent that obeys the laws of nature, yet seems occasionally to bend them, revealing a layer of reality that challenges observation and interpretation. Modern exploration has also documented unexplained acoustic events. Researchers report hearing low-frequency rumbles, hollow echoes, or sharp cracking sounds that do not correspond with ice movement or known atmospheric effects. These occurrences are often fleeting, yet they leave a lasting impression on those who witness them. The human mind, trained to interpret patterns and causality, cannot easily assign rational explanations to these auditory anomalies. They serve as reminders that Antarctica communicates not only through what is visible, but also through subtle cues, vibrations, and resonances. Each sound becomes part of the continent's ongoing narrative, a whisper of processes or events that lie beyond immediate comprehension. Unusual visual phenomena further contribute to Antarctica's enigmatic character. Explorers occasionally report shimmering lights, glowing formations, or reflections that cannot be fully explained by atmospheric conditions or ice composition. Polar nights amplify these occurrences, with auroras and other light interactions creating effects that are beautiful, unsettling, and inexplicable. Sometimes these visual anomalies correspond with thermal or electromagnetic irregularities, suggesting an interconnected system of unusual forces at work. The cumulative effect is a landscape that is not static but dynamic, where observation must be careful, attentive, and patient. In these moments, the continent seems alive, responsive, and full of subtle messages waiting to be deciphered. The accumulation of these anomalies encourages a reconsideration of what is possible in Antarctica. Scientific exploration often emphasizes data, measurement, and repeatable experiments. Yet the continent reminds researchers that some phenomena resist straightforward quantification. Anomalies, by their very nature, are interruptions in expectation. They force observers to pause, reconsider, and confront uncertainty. This delicate balance between rigorous science and the unknown is central to understanding Antarctica's modern mysteries. The continent is both laboratory and enigma, offering empirical insights while withholding the full picture, maintaining a silent dialogue with those who venture into its frozen expanse. Human curiosity inevitably turns toward the possibility of ancient influence or forgotten civilizations. While mainstream archaeology has found no conclusive evidence of human activity prior to recent millennia, the combination of unusual formations, hidden subglacial structures, and persistent anomalies invites speculation. Could there have been civilizations long ago, lost to time and ice? Or are these patterns purely natural, yet so precise as to challenge conventional geological understanding? Each theory is tentative, yet the presence of unanswered questions sustains fascination. In Antarctica, speculation is not merely idle imagination. It is an acknowledgement of the continent's capacity to surprise, to hint at the unknown, and to challenge the boundaries of understanding. Even contemporary human activity occasionally adds to the mystery. Research stations themselves sometimes experience inexplicable equipment malfunctions, sudden weather phenomena, or localized magnetic disturbances. While these events can often be rationalized, the frequency and clustering of anomalies in specific regions continue to intrigue investigators. It is as if certain areas of Antarctica possess properties that subtly resist human intrusion, maintaining a balance between observation and concealment. These modern encounters echo the experiences of early explorers, reinforcing the sense that the continent is both consistent in its extremes and unpredictable in its finer details. Despite decades of exploration, Antarctica continues to reveal only fragments of its deeper story. Every anomaly, geological, thermal, magnetic, acoustic, or visual, serves as a thread in a larger, as yet unfinished tapestry. Scientists and explorers are left to weave these threads into a coherent narrative, aware that some pieces may forever remain beyond reach. The tension between observation and mystery, between the measurable and the inexplicable, forms the core of the continent's enduring fascination. Antarctica is a place where discovery is both a process and an experience, where knowledge and imagination meet in quiet contemplation beneath endless skies and across shifting ice. By the end of this examination of modern anomalies, the viewer is prepared to confront Antarctica not just as a physical location, but as a living puzzle. Each discovery, each subtle deviation from expectation, reinforces the central theme of the continent as a land of contrasts between the seen and unseen, the known and unknown, the ancient and the present. The stage is set to explore the most extreme and mysterious aspects of the continent, the forbidden areas and the enigmatic forces that persist despite centuries of observation. Antarctica, in its frozen majesty, continues to guard secrets, encouraging patience, reflection, and a deep, immersive curiosity. Antarctica is a land of extremes, where nature demonstrates both sublime beauty and harsh unpredictability. The environment itself acts as a force of mystery, shaping the landscape in ways that are often subtle, yet occasionally dramatic. Blizzards emerge with astonishing speed, their winds slicing across glaciers and valleys, reshaping snowdrifts and obscuring familiar landmarks. Temperatures can plummet far below what the human mind finds imaginable. And yet, within these extremes, life and geology persist, adapting silently to conditions that challenge comprehension. The contrast between fragile observation and the relentless power of the environment is a constant reminder that Antarctica is not a static place. It is a dynamic and unpredictable world, commanding respect and caution from anyone who dares to explore its reaches. Wind is among the most influential forces in Antarctica. Known as katabatic winds, these cold, dense air flows descend from the high interior toward the coast, sometimes reaching hurricane-force speeds. They carve the ice and snow, creating patterns and shapes that appear intentional but are the result of relentless pressure over time. The wind's touch can transform smooth plains into jagged formations, sculpt towering snow dunes, and even expose hidden rock outcrops, giving fleeting glimpses of the ancient terrain beneath. For explorers, these gusts are not mere discomfort. They dictate movement, survival, and observation. Even experienced scientists note the uncanny ability of these winds to appear suddenly, altering both perception and reality in the frozen expanse. The interplay between the visible landscape and the invisible force of the wind adds an additional layer to the continent's mysterious character. Temperature extremes in Antarctica contribute to both its allure and its danger. Daytime highs in summer may reach modestly above freezing in some coastal regions, yet the interior remains unforgivingly cold, often falling hundreds of degrees below zero in winter. These fluctuations affect ice behavior, creating cracks, crevices, and unstable surfaces that can appear deceptively solid. Even the most precise instruments must contend with this volatility, as sensors can fail, readings can fluctuate, and observations may be compromised by the sheer extremity of the environment. This constant tension between stability and unpredictability reinforces the sense that Antarctica is a living system, responsive and reactive to forces that are often invisible to the naked eye. The landscape, while frozen and silent, behaves with subtle unpredictability, reminding us that extremes in nature are themselves a form of communication, shaping what is visible and what remains concealed. Glacial movement is another source of fascination and subtle mystery. Glaciers advance slowly, yet with unstoppable force, grinding rock beneath them, reshaping valleys, and revealing glimpses of what lies buried beneath ice sheets. Occasionally, the movement accelerates suddenly, producing cracks and crevices that were not previously visible. These surges, unpredictable in timing and location, are a reminder that even in a seemingly frozen environment, energy flows, pressures build, and transformations occur on scales beyond immediate perception. The interplay of glacial motion with temperature, wind, and topography creates patterns that are both measurable and mysterious. Even when understood scientifically, these shifts retain an aura of wonder and unpredictability, reinforcing the perception that Antarctica is alive in its own silent way. Seismic activity adds a further dimension to Antarctica's enigmatic forces. Though the continent is often thought of as geologically inert, earthquakes and tremors occur, revealing shifts deep beneath the ice. Even minor tremors can ripple through glaciers, producing subtle changes in ice flow or fracturing surfaces in ways that are not immediately visible. Some regions exhibit unexplained microseismic events, faint tremors that do not correlate with known tectonic boundaries. While the precise causes of these events are still under study, their presence adds an undercurrent of unpredictability to an already extreme environment. Each tremor, however slight, is a reminder that beneath the frozen surface, Antarctica is dynamic, continuously evolving, and subject to forces largely invisible to the observer. The interaction between environmental extremes and unexplained phenomena further enhances Antarctica's mystery. Heat anomalies, subglacial lakes, and electromagnetic variations sometimes coincide with areas of intense wind or rapid ice movement. Could these occurrences be purely coincidental, or might they suggest interconnected forces operating within the continent? Researchers remain cautious in drawing conclusions, yet the alignment of environmental extremes with subtle anomalies hints at a complexity that extends beyond simple observation. Antarctica becomes, in this light, not only a laboratory for scientific study, but also a landscape of subtle enigmas, where forces interact in ways that remain partly concealed and partly perceptible, encouraging careful reflection and wonder. Atmospheric phenomena also contribute to the sense of mystery. Sudden storms, unusual cloud formations, and shifting light patterns often occur without warning, altering perception and creating fleeting illusions. The long polar night amplifies these effects, with the interplay of darkness, auroras, and reflective eyes producing surreal visual experiences. Observers may witness fleeting glows, shimmering horizons, or reflections that vanish when approached. These phenomena, while explainable in physical terms, evoke a psychological response, a sense of presence and subtle agency in a landscape otherwise silent. Antarctica communicates not only through the tangible, but also through perception, inviting attentiveness to the interplay of light, shadow, and environment. Even the simplest environmental factors, snow, ice, and water, carry mysteries of their own. Ice cores reveal pockets of ancient air, layers of trapped dust, and chemical compositions that record events from eons past. Meltwater streams, appearing briefly in summer, carry minerals and microorganisms, hinting at life and activity in places that seem otherwise barren. These features, transient and subtle, illustrate the delicate balance between permanence and impermanence in Antarctica's extreme environment. The land is both archive and active participant in natural processes, offering evidence of change while concealing the full story beneath its frozen veneer. Human interaction with these extreme environments often highlights the subtle interplay between the known and unknown. Field researchers, despite meticulous planning, encounter phenomena that defy expectation. Instruments fail unpredictably, weather shifts without warning, and unusual ice formations appear overnight. The contrast between human precision and the vast, uncontrollable forces of nature underscores the humility required in Antarctic exploration. The environment itself seems to resist complete understanding, enforcing boundaries that remind observers of their smallness in the face of immense natural power. In this contrast lies a profound lesson. The extremes of Antarctica are not simply challenges to overcome, but invitations to observe, reflect, and respect forces beyond ordinary perception. Ultimately, Antarctica's extreme environment shapes the narrative of mystery that permeates the continent. Wind, temperature, seismic activity, glacial movement, and atmospheric phenomena all interact in complex, often unpredictable ways. These forces create both observable changes and subtle anomalies, influencing what is visible on the surface and hinting at deeper processes beneath the ice. The interplay of extremes with hidden mysteries, geological, biological, and electromagnetic, reinforces the central theme of the continent as a place of contrasts: known versus unknown, visible versus concealed, calm versus violent. Each environmental factor becomes both a participant and a storyteller, shaping perception and guiding exploration in quiet, powerful ways. As this exploration of extreme environmental forces concludes, the stage is set to delve further into the human experience in Antarctica. How researchers, explorers, and adventurers encounter the unknown, interpret anomalies, and confront the vast, often unfathomable power of the frozen continent. The landscape, though inhospitable, remains a compelling teacher, a silent presence that frames both discovery and mystery. By understanding the extremes and subtleties of the environment, we are prepared to engage with the deeper enigmas of Antarctica, to explore the anomalies, forbidden zones, and hidden histories that continue to challenge and inspire those who venture into its frozen expanses. Narration drifts into the shadowed possibilities of Antarctica's past, inviting the listener to imagine a time long before modern explorers set foot on the frozen continent. Beneath the endless ice and snow, the land may have once been very different. A world of flowing rivers, temperate forests, and life flourishing under a warmer sun. Fossilized remnants of trees and plants, discovered by intrepid scientists over the decades, hint at an ecological tapestry now hidden beneath layers of ice that stretch for millennia. It is as if the continent itself keeps a diary of ancient life, written in forms we can only partially decipher. Each fragment, each fossilized leaf or petrified root, is both evidence and enigma, reminding us that history can be revealed in whispers rather than in grand declarations. Scholars and enthusiasts have long speculated that Antarctica's icy veil may conceal traces of human activity far older than mainstream archaeology is willing to acknowledge. Some point to strange geometric formations etched in rock, odd patterns in satellite imagery, or unexplained artifacts recovered from icebound terrains. While many of these findings are contentious, dismissed as natural formations or misinterpretations, the allure of the unknown persists. The mind is drawn irresistibly to the idea that long before recorded history, civilizations, advanced or otherwise, may have sought refuge, built structures, or even flourished here during warmer epochs. These ideas are not presented as certainty, but as meditative possibilities, encouraging the listener to wander gently through time, exploring what might have been, without demanding firm conclusions. Ancient maps and obscure documents occasionally surface in dusty archives, tantalizing historians with cryptic depictions of southern lands. Some of these maps, drawn centuries before Antarctica was officially discovered, hint at coastlines and features that correspond, in vague ways, to today's geography under the ice. Could they have been inspired by travelers' accounts, imaginative interpretations, or memories of lands now concealed? Perhaps they are reminders that human perception of the world has always been incomplete, shaped by knowledge, imagination, and sometimes by secrets lost to time. This contrast between the known and the unknown, the visible and the hidden, sets the stage for deeper contemplation. The idea that Antarctica's story is not just geological or climatic, but intertwined with a broader narrative of humanity's quest to understand its origins. Theories abound, straddling the line between scholarly hypothesis and the poetic musings of dreamers. Some suggest that polar regions were home to ancient cultures that possessed knowledge long forgotten, now entombed beneath the ice. Others speculate that Antarctica may have been a crossroads for distant civilizations, a meeting place of human ingenuity and natural mystery. These speculations, however improbable they may seem, are framed not as sensationalism but as gentle reflections on possibility, reminders that history is never as fixed as we assume. Each theory, whether accepted or dismissed, is like a candle flickering against the dark expanse of our ignorance, illuminating fragments of what might be while leaving the vast remainder shrouded in quiet, impenetrable whiteness. The allure of Antarctica's hidden past is amplified by the very extremity of its environment. Ice, cold, and isolation act as both preservers and concealers, locking away evidence in a timeless vault. Structures, artifacts, or even traces of biological activity may lie buried for thousands of years, waiting for circumstances that will allow them to be revealed. Scientists working in the region often describe the sensation of standing on an untouched plain of ice, where the wind seems to carry whispers from ages long past. It is a haunting, almost sacred feeling, one that underscores the notion that this continent holds stories that may never be fully known. And yet, the pursuit of these stories, through fossils, satellite data, and painstaking research, creates a bridge between the human desire for understanding and the ineffable mysteries of the natural world. What is particularly mesmerizing is the tension between plausibility and imagination. Each fossil or unusual formation prompts questions about climate, migration, and evolution, while simultaneously evoking visions of vanished peoples, lost cities, and civilizations erased by time. The narrative of Antarctica's ancient secrets is therefore dual. It is both a scientific puzzle and a canvas for the human imagination, where speculation flows as freely as research. Scientists may measure layers of ice with precision, analyze ancient DNA with exacting methods, and chart topography with satellites. Yet all these tools can only partially pierce the veil of mystery. The listener is left in the gentle suspension between certainty and wonder, encouraged to imagine the frozen continent as a place where history itself sleeps beneath the surface. Even as we speak of possibility rather than proof, the human mind cannot help but wander to the grander implications. If indeed Antarctica once hosted life, civilizations, or ecological wonders now hidden, what does that mean for our understanding of human history and Earth's natural narrative? Might there be knowledge preserved beneath the ice, waiting for patient discovery that could reshape our perception of the past? The beauty of this mystery lies in its openness. There is no single answer, only the serene invitation to contemplate, to let imagination drift across icy plains, and to feel the quiet thrill of secrets yet to be unveiled. It is a reminder that exploration is as much about asking questions as finding answers, and that some of the most profound truths lie not in certainty, but in the lingering shadow of possibility. The section concludes with a reflective tone, encouraging listeners to rest in the stillness of Antarctica's enigma. The continent, in its vastness and isolation, embodies a paradox. It is both familiar through the lens of scientific study and forever unknowable in its deepest corners. As the narration fades, listeners are left with the sensation of standing at the edge of discovery, peering across ice sheets that may guard millennia-old secrets. Antarctica's past is a tapestry woven with both fact and imagination, where fossils, formations, and fragments of history whisper tantalizingly. In this quiet contemplation, the listener is drawn not to definitive answers, but to the meditative pleasure of wonder itself, a gentle preparation for the exploration of modern mysteries and scientific challenges that follow. The narrative drifts forward into the present day, where modern science meets the vast, unforgiving expanse of Antarctica. Across the continent, a network of international research stations hums quietly under the sunless winter sky, their inhabitants devoted to understanding one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Here, humanity confronts both the limits of knowledge and the resilience of curiosity. Scientists brave temperatures that drop far below what most can imagine, traversing windswept ice plains and navigating crevasse-laden terrain, all in pursuit of understanding phenomena that exist nowhere else on the planet. In these isolated outposts, the ordinary rules of human life seem suspended. Each day is measured not by sunrise and sunset, but by the rhythm of research, observation, and the delicate dance of survival in a world that is as inhospitable as it is mesmerizing. Antarctica's modern explorers focus on a vast array of scientific pursuits. Ice cores, for instance, are extracted painstakingly, each cylinder of frozen material a historical archive, revealing the patterns of climate and atmospheric change stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. Within these frozen layers, researchers find traces of volcanic eruptions, shifts in carbon dioxide levels, and even microscopic life forms that survived in extreme conditions. These discoveries tell a story of a planet constantly in motion, of climates rising and falling in cycles beyond human lifetimes. And yet, despite the sophistication of these tools and methods, the continent continues to guard its deepest secrets. Strange anomalies sometimes appear in ice cores. Odd sediment patterns emerge that resist explanation, and magnetic or gravitational irregularities continue to puzzle even the most experienced geophysicists. In these moments, the boundary between known science and the unknowable feels thin, like ice cracking beneath the weight of our curiosity. The human experience of Antarctica is as compelling as its scientific revelations. Researchers often describe a profound sense of solitude, a quiet that is at once oppressive and meditative. The endless horizon of snow and ice offers both beauty and disorientation. Time seems to stretch and fold in ways that are difficult to articulate. In these conditions, unexpected phenomena take on a different character. Unexplained lights, distant shapes, or sounds carried by the wind can ignite questions that blend scientific rigor with the eerie sensation of standing on the edge of the unknown. Diaries and personal accounts of scientists reveal subtle mysteries that formal reports may not capture. Glimpses of something that defies immediate explanation, a reminder that Antarctica is not just a laboratory, but a landscape that challenges the human imagination and perception. Satellite technology has transformed how humanity observes the continent, revealing details that were previously invisible. From orbit, vast ice sheets are mapped with precision, and the movements of glaciers are monitored in real time. Yet even with this technological advantage, anomalies appear. Formations that seem geometrically precise, subglacial lakes of extraordinary size, and patterns in ice flow that do not align with conventional models. These observations provoke curiosity and caution in equal measure, as scientists weigh the rigor of their measurements against the possibility that something genuinely unusual is being observed. The continent, in its remoteness, seems to exist both within the reach of human inquiry and just beyond it, a paradox that mirrors the broader tension between knowledge and mystery explored throughout this journey. Research in Antarctica is not confined to geology and climate alone. Biological studies reveal life in conditions that challenge the very definition of survival. Microbes thriving in subglacial lakes, tiny organisms in frozen soils, and resilient marine species in frigid waters suggest ecosystems that have adapted to extremes in ways still not fully understood. These discoveries deepen the sense of wonder, illustrating that life itself can persist where the majority of the planet is inhospitable. Yet for every new finding, questions multiply. How did these organisms evolve? Could there be undiscovered species thriving beneath kilometers of ice, isolated from the outside world for millennia? These possibilities, both scientific and imaginative, extend the narrative beyond the laboratory, emphasizing that Antarctica is a continent that continually invites inquiry while preserving its profound mysteries. The interplay of modern science and mystery is further highlighted by the continent's extreme geography. Mountains hidden beneath ice sheets, deep valleys sculpted by millennia of glacial movement, and vast, unexplored subglacial lakes all suggest realms untouched by humans. Research expeditions often encounter conditions that thwart even the most carefully planned studies. Storms that appear without warning, crevasses that open like secret doors, and equipment failures that remind researchers of their vulnerability. In these moments, the narrative shifts from data and hypothesis to human endurance and humility, reinforcing the notion that Antarctica is not merely a place to be studied. It is a force to be experienced, respected, and, in part, left unknowable. Humanity's presence in Antarctica is also framed by the spirit of international cooperation. Multiple nations maintain research stations, often working collaboratively to share data and insights. Despite political boundaries and occasional rivalries, there's a shared recognition of the continent's unique importance to global knowledge. Here, the pursuit of truth transcends individual ambition, emphasizing a collective dedication to understanding extremes of climate, geology, and biology. Yet even in this cooperative environment, there remain regions so remote, so treacherous, that they are rarely visited and scarcely documented. These zones, silent and unyielding, stand as reminders that some secrets resist even the most coordinated human efforts, preserving the continent's reputation as a place where the boundary between discovery and mystery is constantly shifting. The narratives of those who work in Antarctica further underscore the tension between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Researchers recount moments of quiet awe: the sunrise that bathes ice cliffs in pink and gold, the auroras that ripple across the polar sky, and the sudden, haunting stillness that follows a fierce storm. Interwoven with these experiences are accounts of oddities, objects appearing in unexpected locations, sudden temperature anomalies, or instruments recording inexplicable readings. While each incident may have a logical explanation, the accumulation of such experiences contributes to a subtle sense of the uncanny, reinforcing the continent's allure as a realm where reality and mystery intermingle. For listeners, these accounts evoke a contemplative mood, drawing attention to the idea that Antarctica is a place that challenges perception and invites imagination. As this section draws to a close, the narrative gently emphasizes that the pursuit of scientific knowledge and the encounter with the unknown are not mutually exclusive. Antarctica offers a rare landscape where data, observation, and human experience coexist with profound mystery. Every ice core, every satellite image, every subglacial survey contributes to a slowly emerging picture of the continent, yet the edges of that picture remain blurred. The listener is invited to dwell in this ambiguity, to appreciate both the achievements of modern science and the enduring enigma that persists despite those achievements. In this quiet reflection, Antarctica becomes more than a subject of research. It becomes a meditative space, a canvas upon which human curiosity, resilience, and wonder are continuously projected. Ultimately, the continent's modern explorers illustrate a paradox that resonates throughout the story of Antarctica. The more we learn, the more we realize how much remains unknown. Their work uncovers remarkable truths about climate, geology, and life. Yet at every turn, questions multiply. Ice sheets hide ancient secrets, subglacial lakes guard untold ecosystems, and the vast, uncharted expanses remain stubbornly silent. The section closes with a sense of calm, awe, allowing listeners to imagine themselves standing in that frozen landscape, feeling the quiet pulse of a continent that is at once intensely studied and deeply mysterious. It is a preparation for the next chapters of exploration, where unexplained artifacts, anomalous phenomena, and forbidden knowledge await, beckoning gently from beneath the ice. The story turns now to the most enigmatic and elusive discoveries in Antarctica, objects and formations that defy easy explanation, leaving both explorers and scientists in quiet astonishment. Beneath the endless white plains and towering ice cliffs, there are reports of unusual structures, geometric shapes, and objects that seem out of place in the natural landscape. Some are glimpsed from the air, captured in fleeting satellite images. Others are described in expedition logs as strange metallic forms, anomalous ridges, or even artifacts that seem deliberately arranged. Each finding, no matter how small, challenges the comforting certainty of natural processes. There's a tension here, subtle but palpable, between what is known and what cannot yet be explained. A tension that invites the imagination to wander and the mind to linger on the possibility of the extraordinary. The allure of these anomalies lies not only in their strangeness, but in the careful scrutiny they have endured. Scientists and explorers alike approach such discoveries with both curiosity and caution, understanding that nature itself can craft astonishing forms. ice can fracture and fold in ways that mimic geometric precision. Wind, snow, and the relentless pressure of glaciers can create patterns that deceive even the keenest observer. Yet in some cases, the regularity, scale, and context of the formations suggest something beyond simple natural processes. The human mind, attuned to patterns and meaning, cannot help but pause and ask, could these be remnants of ancient construction, lost civilizations, or technologies we do not yet comprehend? The ambiguity is what renders the discoveries both unsettling and mesmerizing, a subtle invitation into a realm where science and speculation meet in quiet tension. Satellite imagery has become one of the most revealing tools in this ongoing exploration. From hundreds of miles above, Antarctica's surface reveals anomalies that often escape the naked eye. Shadows cast by ridges, irregular lines in the ice, and symmetrical shapes provoke both intrigue and caution. Analysts pore over high-resolution images, comparing them to known geological processes, glacial movements, and historical records. Most anomalies have natural explanations, yet some remain stubbornly enigmatic. The combination of scale, precision, and context in these cases defies simple categorization, giving rise to speculation that ranges from the scientifically plausible to the gently fantastical. It is this careful dance between evidence and imagination that sustains a sense of wonder, keeping listeners engaged without drifting into alarm or sensationalism. Historical accounts, too, add layers to this ongoing mystery. Diaries and expedition reports from the early 20th century sometimes describe objects or formations that were dismissed at the time, but which later satellite imagery or aerial photography has confirmed in some form. Explorers' descriptions of strange ridges, metallic shapes, or geometric clearings were often noted with a mix of fascination and hesitation, as if even they sensed a subtle line between the ordinary and the inexplicable. These accounts are rarely conclusive, yet they add depth to the narrative, suggesting that human perception has long encountered the peculiar in this frozen land. The interplay of historical anecdote and modern observation reinforces the sense that Antarctica has always been a place where the boundaries of understanding are tested, where each discovery may hint at something far greater than the immediate evidence suggests. The concept of subglacial structures adds another layer to this enigma. Beneath kilometers of ice, vast lakes and mountain ranges remain hidden from direct view. Yet indirect evidence hints at shapes and formations that suggest both natural and perhaps more puzzling origins. Ice-penetrating radar has revealed strange, regular formations on the beds of these lakes, some appearing symmetrical, others oddly angular. The images provoke questions that echo through scientific halls and informal discussions alike. Could these features be purely geological, or might they hint at something unknown, shaped by forces or beings yet unaccounted for? The mystery is amplified by the sheer inaccessibility of these regions, which remain largely unexplored due to extreme conditions and technological limitations. In this sense, the ice acts as both a protector of secrets and a silent storyteller, keeping much of its narrative hidden until humanity develops the means to uncover it. Even as these discoveries spark curiosity, Antarctica remains a place of disciplined caution. Scientific teams often temper excitement with rigorous methodology, testing hypotheses, and seeking natural explanations before embracing speculation. This measured approach is part of what makes the continent so compelling. It is a realm where extraordinary possibilities are encountered within a framework of rational inquiry. The juxtaposition of meticulous science and inexplicable observation creates a gentle tension in the narrative, allowing listeners to experience wonder without discomfort. Each anomaly becomes a quiet question mark in the vast white landscape, a subtle challenge to our assumptions about what is possible in this remote and isolated environment. Personal experiences of researchers often add a human dimension to these anomalies. Some describe fleeting impressions, objects appearing and disappearing in the corner of vision, subtle disturbances in the ice, or sounds that carry strangely across the frozen expanse. While many such occurrences are eventually explained, the cumulative effect is a profound sense of the uncanny. Antarctica is not just a place of study. It is a living, breathing environment that interacts with human perception in ways that are sometimes disorienting, sometimes beautiful, and always deeply humbling. These personal encounters, when recounted with calm reflection, enhance the narrative of mystery without venturing into fear, maintaining the poetic and meditative tone that invites listeners to contemplate rather than react. The psychological dimension of encountering unexplained artifacts or formations is also significant. In a landscape dominated by whiteness, silence, and isolation, the human mind is prone to amplify subtle irregularities into perceived significance. Scientists recognize this, yet even with full awareness, the effect of standing before something unaccounted for can be profound. The mind is drawn toward patterns, stories, and meaning, and Antarctica, with its vastness and hidden depths, provides the perfect canvas for this interplay. The tension between perception and reality, between rigorous observation and imaginative speculation, becomes a central theme, one that encourages the listener to dwell in ambiguity with a sense of calm curiosity rather than unease. Ultimately, these strange artifacts and formations underscore a central idea. Antarctica is a place where the line between the known and the unknown is both thin and fluid. Every discovery, whether explained or mysterious, contributes to a layered narrative of beauty, isolation, and curiosity. The continent invites humans to explore, to measure, and to hypothesize, but it simultaneously preserves a portion of itself beyond comprehension. This duality, between revealing and concealing, is at the heart of its allure. Listeners are encouraged to consider not only what might exist beneath the ice, but also the broader philosophical reflection that some mysteries endure not to frustrate, but to inspire, to remind us of the vastness of the natural world and the persistent curiosity of the human mind. As the section concludes, the focus returns to quiet reflection. The anomalies, the strange formations, and the fleeting glimpses of objects all merge into a tapestry of wonder. Antarctica, in its stark, frozen majesty, remains a realm where evidence and enigma coexist, a place that nurtures both scientific discovery and the imagination. The listener is left with a lingering sense of the uncanny and the extraordinary, a feeling that beneath the silent ice, secrets wait patiently to be uncovered. It is an invitation to continue the journey with gentle anticipation, to explore the subtle interplay of fact, mystery, and the poetic unknown in the chapters that follow. As the narrative unfolds, attention shifts toward theories that stretch the boundaries of conventional science, gently inviting the listener to consider possibilities that remain unproven yet endlessly intriguing. Antarctica, with its extreme isolation and hidden depths, has long inspired speculation about phenomena that challenge our understanding of the natural world. Subglacial lakes, for example, may harbor life forms unlike anything documented elsewhere, thriving in conditions of darkness, crushing pressure, and near-freezing temperatures. These environments, shielded from sunlight for millions of years, could host ecosystems that evolve independently, presenting living laboratories for studying adaptation, resilience, and the limits of biology. Scientists approach these questions with rigorous methods, yet even the most careful investigations leave room for mystery, reminding us that the unknown is not always a flaw in knowledge, but an invitation to wonder. Geophysical anomalies add another layer of fascination. Areas where magnetic fields fluctuate unexpectedly, or where ice movement defies conventional modeling, are meticulously mapped and measured, yet definitive explanations remain elusive. These observations provoke cautious speculation. Could there be geological formations or processes that remain undiscovered? Might there be hidden channels of geothermal activity, pockets of liquid water, or unknown forces influencing the frozen landscape? Each question, framed in careful scientific language, resonates with the listener as both plausible and poetic, illustrating that Antarctica is a place where science and imagination meet. The narrative remains calm and reflective, emphasizing curiosity rather than alarm, encouraging the mind to wander slowly over possibilities rather than rush toward conclusions. Historical and anecdotal evidence also feeds these contemplations. Accounts of explorers encountering unusual phenomena, strange lights on the horizon, sudden temperature shifts, or objects appearing unexpectedly, continue to circulate alongside modern measurements and satellite observations. While each individual report may be explainable, the accumulation of such experiences creates a subtle pattern of mystery that cannot be entirely dismissed. Researchers approach these accounts critically, yet the human imagination cannot help but linger on the tantalizing gap between what is observed and what is understood. This gap, vast and silent like the continent itself, becomes a space for reflection, where the mind can dwell in the gentle tension between the known and the unknown. Theories about ancient civilizations and lost knowledge emerge naturally in this context. Some propose that Antarctica, during warmer geological periods, may have hosted life and even human activity long before recorded history. While mainstream science remains skeptical, the possibility serves as a meditative prompt rather than a definitive claim. Listeners are invited to imagine landscapes once free of ice, where rivers flowed and forests thrived, and to consider what traces of past life might still lie hidden beneath the frozen surface. These ideas, carefully framed as speculation, create a serene yet curious atmosphere, blending scientific inquiry with the poetic allure of untold history. It is a reminder that contemplation and imagination are complementary tools, especially when confronted with vast, unexplored frontiers. Subglacial lakes, such as Lake Vostok, exemplify the delicate balance between mystery and scientific exploration. Buried beneath more than 4 kilometers of ice, the lake remains one of the least accessible places on Earth, yet instruments and probes have provided glimpses of its unique ecosystem. Microbial life discovered in these waters hints at resilience beyond ordinary comprehension, and some scientists even entertain the possibility of entirely unknown organisms adapted to eternal darkness. The lake's isolation, combined with its scientific intrigue, serves as a symbol of Antarctica itself, a realm where discovery and the unexplained exist side by side, encouraging both careful study and quiet reflection. It is precisely this interplay that sustains the meditative, sleep-friendly tone of the narrative, allowing curiosity to flourish without the pressure of final answers. Other theories, more speculative in nature, explore the potential for physical anomalies beneath the ice that challenge current models of geology and physics. Some posit hidden caverns, unusual mineral formations, or pockets of energy that could influence ice movement and local environmental conditions in ways not yet fully understood. While these hypotheses remain on the fringes of mainstream science, they're presented here not as certainty, but as invitations to consider the complexity of a continent that has resisted full understanding for centuries. The narrative emphasizes that such ideas, even if unproven, reflect humanity's enduring desire to comprehend the incomprehensible, a desire that is both scientific and deeply poetic in nature. Throughout this exploration, the tone remains contemplative. Antarctica is framed as a landscape of subtle contrasts, extreme isolation paired with intense human study, predictable natural processes intertwined with unexpected anomalies, and meticulous measurements set against boundless possibility. This balance ensures that the listener is drawn into the mystery without anxiety, encouraged to ponder and imagine within the calm rhythm of the narration. It is an environment that invites introspection, allowing the mind to move slowly across questions of existence, resilience, and the hidden wonders that may lie beneath kilometers of ice. Each theory, whether grounded in empirical data or speculative imagination, contributes to a tapestry of curiosity that mirrors the continent itself, vast, layered, and largely unexplored. The subtle interplay between what is known and what is unknown also raises profound philosophical reflections. Antarctica challenges the assumption that every question has a measurable answer, reminding us that some truths are discovered not in certainty, but in patient observation and open-minded consideration. The narrative now turns to the hidden dynamics of human access and the boundaries imposed upon Antarctica, a continent that is both studied and protected in ways that shape what we can and cannot know. Despite the intense interest from scientists, explorers, and even the imagination of the wider public, vast stretches of this frozen land remain inaccessible. The harsh climate, logistical challenges, and extreme isolation act as natural barriers, limiting where humans can venture and how much can be documented. But beyond these natural constraints, political, legal, and strategic considerations introduce a subtler layer of restriction. Certain areas are designated as research zones with controlled entry, while others are virtually off-limits due to treaties or security concerns, creating an invisible map of accessibility that frames the mystery of the continent itself. The tension between the openness of scientific inquiry and the barriers to full exploration contributes to the sense of Antarctica as a place where secrets persist, waiting patiently beneath the ice. International treaties, particularly the Antarctic Treaty System, provide a framework for cooperation, protection, and regulation, ensuring that the continent remains primarily a space for peaceful scientific study. These agreements, while vital for preserving the environment and coordinating research, also result in limitations that may be perceived as secrecy. Certain data, particularly related to sensitive military or geological studies, is not always fully shared, while some remote regions are rarely visited, either due to extreme conditions or strict permissions. The interplay between transparency and restriction is subtle yet significant, shaping both public perception and the experience of scientists who work in the field. It is within this tension that Antarctica acquires a dual identity, a place of rigorous study and, simultaneously, a domain where the unknown thrives because access itself is limited. Even with technological advances, some areas remain stubbornly hidden from direct observation. The continent's thick ice sheets obscure vast subglacial lakes, mountain ranges, and valleys that are inaccessible to casual exploration. Drilling into these regions is both costly and technically challenging, requiring years of preparation, specialized equipment, and precise conditions. While scientists continue to push the boundaries of what is possible, the majority of Antarctica's interior remains largely untouched, preserving not just environmental conditions, but also the profound sense of mystery. Satellite imagery, while invaluable, offers only a partial view, capable of capturing the surface, but unable to fully reveal what lies beneath kilometers of ice. In this way, human limitation reinforces the narrative of a continent that keeps much of its story private, allowing imagination and inquiry to fill in the spaces that technology cannot yet reach. The human element, the stories of researchers, explorers, and even logistical personnel, adds depth to the sense of restricted access. Expeditions into the interior often encounter extreme weather, dangerous terrain, and sudden, unpredictable hazards. Even when fully prepared, teams must navigate treacherous crevasses, blinding blizzards, and shifting ice that can compromise both safety and scientific objectives. The combination of environmental danger and formal regulations ensures that only a select few ever venture deeply into Antarctica's most remote regions. This scarcity of first-hand experience contributes to the mystique. The places least visited are often those that spark the most curiosity, reinforcing the sense that Antarctica is a land of secrets, partly revealed and partly hidden by circumstance, climate, and human caution. Beyond practical limitations, there is also the perception of secrecy itself, amplified by reports and rumors of restricted zones or unusual activity. Certain remote stations or research operations are tightly controlled, their data and findings not always available to the public. Whether due to the sensitive nature of research, logistical constraints, or historical precedent, These areas have become the focus of speculation. What lies in the unvisited corners of the continent? Are there formations, anomalies, or evidence of unusual phenomena that remain deliberately concealed? The narrative does not assert definitive answers, but instead uses these questions to evoke curiosity and reflection, emphasizing that the unknown is often preserved as much by human choice as by natural circumstance. The contrast between areas of intense study and regions of isolation highlights another profound aspect of Antarctica: the selective nature of human knowledge. Scientists meticulously record ice core samples, monitor wildlife, and chart glacial movements, yet the places that remain out of reach retain an aura of possibility. These unvisited regions are as much a part of the story as the research stations themselves, a reminder that what we know is always partial, and what we do not know is vast. This duality mirrors the broader human experience of curiosity. The deeper we explore, the more we recognize the expanse of what lies beyond our grasp. The continent, in its quiet endurance, becomes a metaphor for the delicate balance between discovery and the preservation of mystery. Stories of logistical challenges also contribute to the sense of hidden realms. Supply routes may be interrupted by shifting ice or sudden storms, making repeated access impossible. Equipment failures or sudden environmental hazards can force researchers to abandon projects or retreat to safer areas, leaving certain mysteries unresolved. Even satellite and aerial surveys are limited by weather conditions and technological constraints, capturing only snapshots rather than comprehensive views. These limitations, though practical, enhance the narrative of restriction, reminding listeners that Antarctica is not a passive stage for human exploration, but an active environment that sets the terms of engagement. The silence of the ice, the weight of its immensity, and the strict boundaries imposed by both nature and human regulation converge to preserve its secrets. This tension between exploration and restriction invites reflection on the philosophy of knowledge. Antarctica challenges the assumption that all questions can be answered simply by venturing further or measuring more precisely. Some areas may remain unknowable for generations, if not forever, and that unknowability is not a failure, but a feature of the continent itself. By framing access as both a privilege and a limitation, the narrative encourages listeners to dwell in contemplation, to appreciate the beauty of what is partially revealed while acknowledging the majesty of what remains hidden. In this sense, restricted access does not merely impede knowledge. It heightens it, imbuing the frozen land with a quiet power that stirs curiosity without forcing resolution. As the section concludes, the focus gently returns to the human dimension, those who work, explore, and dream of Antarctica. They operate within a framework of rules, risks, and permissions, yet the continent still speaks to them through anomalies, unexpected discoveries, and fleeting impressions of mystery. The silence of unvisited regions, the challenges of restricted access, and the occasional reports of unexplained phenomena combine to reinforce the enduring allure of the frozen landscape. Listeners are invited to imagine themselves at the edge of one of these remote zones, standing before vast ice plains where secrets lie untouched, and to feel the subtle tension between curiosity, caution, and wonder. Antarctica, in all its isolation, continues to guard its story, shaping not only what we can learn, but also how we imagine the world beyond what is known. As the journey draws closer to its contemplative conclusion, the narrative turns to the broader implications of Antarctica's enduring mysteries. This frozen continent, vast and remote, serves as both a laboratory of science and a canvas for imagination. Every discovery, from ice cores to subglacial lakes, from fossils to anomalous formations, invites reflection on the delicate balance between what we know and what remains unknown. The duality of the familiar and the unfathomable pervades the landscape. Glaciers move with predictable force, yet pockets of liquid water hide beneath the ice, inaccessible and mysterious. Weather patterns follow scientific principles, yet sudden anomalies remind us that nature is never fully tamed. This interplay encourages listeners to dwell in wonder, to consider the implications of a world that is simultaneously measured and enigmatic. Antarctica's mysteries ripple outward, influencing our understanding of history, geology, and life itself. The existence of ancient fossils and subglacial ecosystems suggests that life adapts and persists in ways that challenge assumptions, prompting reflections on resilience and survival. Each anomaly, each unexplained formation, carries the potential to reshape scientific narratives, questioning linear histories and inviting consideration of alternative possibilities. Yet even as science progresses, the continent retains its ability to surprise, emphasizing that some knowledge may always lie beyond immediate reach. This tension between discovery and uncertainty cultivates a contemplative state, a gentle invitation for listeners to embrace both the known and the unknowable with quiet curiosity. The philosophical dimension of Antarctica becomes particularly apparent when considering the limits imposed by environment and access. Vast regions are unreachable due to extreme conditions, while others are restricted by international agreements, technical limitations, or logistical necessity. In this way, the continent preserves its secrets not only through natural processes, but also through circumstances beyond human control. This enforced mystery underscores the idea that some truths may not be revealed through direct measurement alone. Instead, understanding emerges as a combination of observation, inference, and imagination, a process that mirrors the human experience of engaging with complexity and uncertainty in all aspects of life. It is a subtle reminder that not all answers can, or need to, be known to inspire awe and contemplation. The psychological resonance of these mysteries adds another layer to the experience. Antarctica's vast, silent plains evoke introspection, allowing the mind to wander slowly across ideas of time, scale, and the fragility of human presence. In confronting landscapes that dwarf human perception, listeners are invited to reflect on their place within the broader narrative of Earth's history. The quiet majesty of ice sheets, the hidden depths of subglacial lakes, and the enigmatic anomalies scattered across the continent all serve as gentle prompts for meditation. In this way, Antarctica functions not merely as a geographical location, but as a mental and emotional space, a realm where curiosity, humility, and wonder converge in a soft, continuous rhythm. The interplay of science and speculation reaches its culmination in this reflection. While empirical research illuminates the mechanics of ice flow, the biology of extremophiles, and the shifts of ancient climates, the unexplained anomalies sustain the poetic dimension of the continent. The listener is encouraged to embrace this duality, understanding that mystery is not a deficiency, but a feature that heightens appreciation for the world. It is in the space between fact and speculation that imagination is nurtured, and that the human mind can wander freely across possibilities without the constraints of certainty. Antarctica, in its isolation and silence, models a form of knowledge that is patient, humble, and open to wonder. Consider also the ethical and existential dimensions of these reflections. The preserved ecosystems, the untouched ice, and the remote geological features remind us of humanity's responsibility to engage with the natural world thoughtfully. As science seeks to uncover the unknown, there is an implicit call to respect the integrity of what remains hidden. This delicate balance between curiosity and stewardship mirrors the broader journey of understanding, to seek knowledge without overwhelming or diminishing the very phenomena under study. Antarctica becomes, in this sense, a teacher of restraint as well as discovery, demonstrating that profound truths often emerge not from conquest, but from careful observation, reflection, and respect. The narrative also invites contemplation of time on a scale that transcends human life. Glacial movement, subglacial water flow, and the slow accumulation of ice layers operate on temporal frameworks that extend far beyond a human lifetime. Fossilized forests and ancient sediments whisper stories from eras long past, hinting at climates, life forms, and conditions that predate recorded history. These temporal dimensions foster a quiet meditation on permanence, change, and the fleeting nature of individual existence against the backdrop of geological time. Listeners are encouraged to let the mind drift slowly through these scales, appreciating both the magnitude of the continent and the patience required to understand it, even partially. As the reflection deepens, the narrative gently returns to the theme of duality, the known and the unknown, discovery and secrecy, human presence and natural isolation. Antarctica's frozen expanse, though carefully studied, continues to resist complete comprehension. Each new piece of evidence, each anomaly, and each subglacial formation adds to a layered understanding, yet also reinforces the persistent gaps in knowledge. It is this interplay that sustains a sense of awe, reminding listeners that mystery is not an endpoint, but a continuing journey. In the quiet of this reflection, curiosity is nurtured rather than resolved, inviting a meditative engagement with the world as it exists both revealed and hidden. The section closes with an emphasis on serenity and wonder. Listeners are encouraged to imagine themselves standing upon the silent ice, gazing across an endless expanse where secrets lie beneath the surface, untouched and patient. The frozen landscape becomes a metaphor for the vastness of knowledge yet to be explored and the beauty of questions that may never be fully answered. In this calm contemplation, Antarctica serves as both setting and teacher, offering a space for reflection on history, science, mystery, and the human imagination. The mind is left gently suspended between certainty and possibility, ready to embrace the final, immersive chapter that will tie together the continent's enigmatic story and the quiet majesty of its eternal secrets. The journey comes to its final reflection, drawing together threads of science, mystery, history, and imagination that have been woven throughout the story of Antarctica. This frozen continent, at once studied and secretive, invites contemplation on scales of time, knowledge, and human presence that stretch far beyond the ordinary. Standing mentally on its icy plains, one cannot help but feel the profound weight of silence, the quiet majesty that dominates a landscape untouched by the hustle of civilization. Here, in the expansive whiteness, facts and speculation coexist in a delicate balance. Glaciers carve the terrain with inexorable force, yet the occasional anomaly, a strange formation, a subglacial lake, a fossil unearthed, reminds us that not all has been accounted for, that the continent continues to guard its most intimate secrets. This balance between the observable and the hidden shapes the final chapter of the journey, offering both closure and a lingering thrill of uncertainty. Throughout this narrative, Antarctica has emerged as a place of contrasts, the extreme and the subtle, the measured and the mysterious, the visible and the concealed. The modern scientific apparatus, satellites, ice-penetrating radar, deep-core drills, and sophisticated climate models has illuminated much of what was once impenetrable. Researchers monitor glacial movements, map hidden valleys, and probe lakes buried beneath kilometers of ice, revealing an astonishingly dynamic environment. Yet, even with these technological advances, there are corners of the continent that remain stubbornly beyond reach, silent and unexplored. The tension between our growing understanding and the vast expanse of the unknown forms the essence of Antarctica's allure. It is a place where knowledge is hard-earned and mystery persists, not as a failure of comprehension, but as an intrinsic feature of the land itself. The frozen expanse acts as both archive and enigma, preserving evidence of the past while inviting speculation about what lies beneath. Fossilized forests and ancient sediments tell of climates far warmer than today, of ecosystems that thrived in landscapes now buried beneath ice. These remnants hint at a world that was once rich, diverse, and perhaps even touched by human presence during warmer geological periods. Although concrete evidence for prehistoric civilizations remains elusive, the very possibility inspires reflection. Could there have been life, cultures, or technologies now hidden beneath ice sheets? Such questions are not posed to provoke fear or sensationalism, but rather to awaken a sense of wonder, to invite the mind to wander slowly across time, imagining a continent that has transformed and endured across millennia. Subglacial lakes, hidden mountain ranges, and mysterious formations discovered through satellite imagery add layers of intrigue to the story. Lake Vostok and its counterparts are more than scientific curiosities. They are potential habitats for life that evolve in isolation for millions of years, shielded from sunlight and separated from the rest of the biosphere. The discoveries of microbial organisms that survive in extreme conditions push the boundaries of our understanding of life itself. They raise profound questions. What adaptations allow life to endure when conditions seem impossible? Could entirely unknown forms of life exist beneath kilometers of ice, waiting to be discovered? These reflections, framed in a calm and meditative tone, underscore the notion that the boundaries of knowledge are not fixed but continually expanding, and that mystery is an essential companion to discovery. Antarctica also embodies a lesson in humility. The continent is immense, powerful, and indifferent to human presence. Expeditions are routinely challenged by extreme weather, hidden crevasses, and shifting ice, reminding explorers of their vulnerability. Even the most sophisticated instruments can fail or yield results that require further study. And yet, in this struggle, there is beauty. The experience of standing before vast ice plains, hearing only the wind, observing phenomena that defy immediate explanation, fosters a contemplative state in which humans are small but capable of deep reflection. It is a space where curiosity flourishes, tempered by respect for the environment's inherent difficulty and the realization that not all answers are meant to be immediate or complete. The history of exploration adds texture to this reflection. Accounts from early 20th century expeditions, some heroic and some tragic, reveal the human desire to encounter the unknown. Diaries describe both awe-inspiring vistas and unsettling moments. Lights on the horizon, strange formations in the ice, anomalies that resisted explanation. Modern research, building on these accounts, layers precision and rigor atop human experience. Yet the continent retains its capacity to surprise. There is continuity between past and present. Explorers and scientists, separated by decades, engage in a dialogue with the land itself. The frozen expanse is both participant and witness, offering discoveries while withholding complete understanding. And in this interplay, the listener is invited to appreciate the deep connection between human curiosity and the mysteries of nature. Restricted access and political agreements, such as the Antarctic Treaty System, introduce a subtle layer of secrecy that complements natural isolation. Some areas are deliberately off-limits or difficult to reach, creating spaces that remain unstudied or partially observed. The human choice to limit exploration, whether for environmental protection, security, or logistics, enhances the sense of mystery. Listeners are encouraged to consider that Antarctica's secrets are preserved not only by ice and distance, but also by intentional human restraint. This layered protection, both natural and regulatory, reinforces the meditative rhythm of the narrative. Discovery is possible, but not at the cost of awe, caution, or respect. The unknown endures, allowing the mind to wander gently through speculation without urgency. The anomalies scattered across the continent, geometric formations, unexplained objects, and unusual geological structures, serve as quiet invitations to contemplate what lies beyond conventional understanding. While most have plausible natural explanations, some remain enigmatic, challenging scientists and thinkers alike. The presence of these anomalies highlights the delicate relationship between evidence and imagination. One informs the other, and both coexist in a space of calm curiosity. Listeners are encouraged to explore these possibilities not as definitive truths, but as gentle provocations, a reminder that some landscapes, like the mind, are best approached with patience, reflection, and openness to wonder. Antarctica also prompts reflection on time on scales that are almost incomprehensible. Glacial flows, ice accumulation, and subglacial processes operate over thousands and millions of years, dwarfing the human experience of time. Fossil records and sediment layers whisper stories from epochs long past, revealing environmental conditions and ecosystems that predate human history.